me see. Okay, it is officially 6:05, so I think we can go ahead and start with our Black Women in Cyber panel. This is session 1. Thank you for tuning in, those of you who are watching on YouTube. So tonight will be hosted by myself, Alana Scott, the Director of Operations for Blacks in Cybersecurity, as well as my counterpart. Okay, it is officially. Alex, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, sorry, I heard some feedback. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't my mic. Hi, everyone. My name is Alexandria Barnett, and I am our Director of Public Relations here at BWIC headquarters. It's so nice to be able to get all of us together as we celebrate this month, but also the inaugural BWIC panel with Black Girls Hack and all of our associates here. So I'll give everyone a little bit of time to introduce themselves further.
All right, I will kick it off. My name is Tanisha Martin. I'm the Executive Director for Black Girls Hack, and I'm excited to be here with these wonderful women of cyber.
Hello, my name is Tanisha L. Turner. I'm Vice Chairman and CSO at Black Girls Hack, and excited to be here with all of you all, and with shout out to Tanisha Martin as well.
Hello, I'm Jasmine Jackson. currently work at Disney as a senior application security engineer, and I'm excited for the panel and to meet all of you. So I can't wait to get started.
I'm Shaniqua Tucker. I'm a sales engineer at Splunk, 15 years in cyber. I'm happy to be on a panel with all you amazing people. And yeah, that's all I got.
Hello, Jessica Hoffman here. I am a partner at a firm called Prevention Government Solutions. We do audit and compliance for the federal government, shareholder as well from Central PA, been in security for about 10 plus years. And thanks for allowing me to join you ladies.
Hello, everyone. I'm Francisca Bukubuateng. I'm currently a PhD candidate studying cyber defense at Dakota State University. I'm also a digital forensics investigator or analyst at our DigForce lab here on campus. And I'm excited to be here with all you amazing Black women in cyber.
Hi, everyone. My name is Fatou Sankari. I'm currently a first-year doctoral student in cybersecurity at Marymount University, and I'm also a data scientist at a consulting firm. I'm so excited to be here.
And I guess I'm batting cleanup. I'm Rebecca Skeet. I work for the Texas Rangers Baseball Club. All the opinions that I share today are my own. I do not represent the organization. I'm also a director of operations for Black Girls Hack. I like that director of operations is DO because that's what I do. I do things.
I like that.
I'm Chloe Burton. I'm a security consulting manager at Accenture, and I'm happy to be here with you guys today.
All right, I think that is everyone. So I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to tell you guys about Black Girls Hack. I appreciate Blacks in Cyber for doing this, for making this possible, and for giving us a couple of minutes. So Black Girls Hack is a nonprofit organization that was set up to bring awareness and to provide knowledge and resources for Black women who are trying to get into cybersecurity. But we are literally open for everyone. We welcome everyone to come out and practice your ethical hacking skills. We also offer Security Plus, EJPT, Certified Ethical Hacker study groups, as well as a lot of hands-on training skills, such as Friday Night Labs, which are in like Try Hack Me, Intro to Capture the Flag, and we also offer mentoring, resume review, and mock interviews. And we are looking for volunteers and mentors, and they can come from literally anywhere. So if you feel like you want to share your expertise with the future next generation of cybersecurity professionals, we welcome everyone. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you for being here with us tonight. So let's get into it. It's Friday night, and we have a wonderful panel of women here that we're gonna have some really great questions and conversation. Let's start with the softball here. Let's see. I think our first question is going to be, is there a technical or non-technical book or podcast that you believe is a must read for any working professional in cyber?
I can start. I think Atomic Habits, I can't think of the author right now off the top of my head, but Atomic Habits is an amazing book. I thought I was on top of my game professionally, personally, with the things that I was trying to accomplish, but I wasn't sticking to my major goals. I was thinking way too big, but Atomic Habits changed everything. From habit stacking and knowing exactly what should be a priority. I think it helps just to center your mind and keep everything focused.
So I'm a big fan of Tribe of Hackers because I really appreciate hearing other people's stories and how they got into the industry and how they got started. So I definitely recommend that. There's also one called Tribe of Mentors, which I appreciate as well. So those are two dope books that I think that everyone should check out.
I would say for me, I think the book is called How to Influence, and it basically talks about how to talk with different people. So in cybersecurity, you might be talking with the CISO, you might be talking with the developer, and you need to convey your thoughts and bring people to your side. So that is one book that I go to often is, how to influence, and also the 4 agreements. Those are the 2 for me.
Shaniqua, that was James Clear for Atomic Habits. It's on my list too. For podcasts, Cyberwire is fantastic to me because it's a daily thing and it's consumable information. It kind of gives you a wrap up of all the goings on in cyber. Well, not all because it's a lot, but a pretty good overview.
I'm speaking of podcasts. I'm also a big fan of Security in Cover in Color, which gives you like cybersecurity news as well as like blends in some dope music. And King Domo I'm a big fan of, so I would definitely say check that out.
So I'm coming from a different perspective. I'm sorry. I'm in the government space, so all that government espionage is fascinating. So Red Team by Mike Azenko is a really good book, and so is The Perfect Weapon by David Sanger. Also Dark Territory. So if you're in the government space, I don't read fiction. It needs to be real and relevant, right? So if you're in the government space, those books are so fascinating just to hear about things like that have been going on for years and years. It's like election fraud. That's nothing new, right? Sputnik, all of those things have been going on for many, many years in different forms. And a lot of them are still the same thing, just repeated over and over again. So if you're in the government space, those are fantastic books and you can really relate that to some of the work that you're doing now.
Those are all really, was there one more?
Yeah, I was about to say that for me, I read this Women Know Cyber, which actually talks about like these 100 fascinating women trying to combat cybercrime. And for me, being new into the field, coming into the field, it really helped me because then I really kind of saw myself in some of these women doing amazing things who share their stories and how they got into cyber and what they are doing in terms of their work, which some of you have shared amazing things you're doing. Another one is podcast. So I do listen to Dark Net Diaries. And again, I may be biased, but because I do more DFIR, so digital forensics incident response, I like listening to Dark Net Diaries because, some of the stories there would kind of really share light on how some of these criminals are sharpening their skills and doing all these bad stuff, and also how law enforcement is trying to combat them and catch them. And so Dark Net Diaries is also one interesting podcast if you really like to know about all these crazy, things going on in terms of these criminals working. That would be another one.
For me, one of the books, which is non-technical, but it's a book that you can use throughout your professional career, is Developing the Leader Within You by John Maxwell. I find that reading a lot of John Maxwell books, I mean, that can cross in any career path, whether you're in technical, whether you're in business. So I read a lot of those books about the Developing the Leader Within You. That actually helps you to develop confidence. And you can be a leader from within. I mean, you can be a leader even at lower level. Leadership is not about being at higher level. Leadership is about leading from across the broad. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a higher position. So that's one of the books I actually highly recommend anyone can read, because even like with this panel that we have today, we're all leaders in a given area, whether that's mentorship or whether that's just leading by example with our family and our friends.
Real quick, I wanted to co-sign on the Dark Net Diaries because I listened to that too, and it's awesome. And then to add to that, Hacking Humans, because it focuses on social engineering, and it's pretty interesting. They do catch of the day, and it's something that someone who isn't technical can listen to and still kind of give you a feel for what's going on. But then it's also enough meat there that if someone is technical, that they have information there as well.
And I'll add one more to the leadership group here, Extreme Ownership. That's a really good one. I think Joko is his name, ex-military guy, so very good.
Yeah, you're right. Is that it? I don't want to jump the gun. I jumped in there a little early, so I want to make sure. Are there any other suggestions?
The Phoenix Project is just a good IT book to read. People are for or against it. Some people love it, some people hate it. I read it and I identified with it, which angered me, but also comforted me. So it was good.
Yeah, and it was actually really well written, like a story versus like an instruction manual.
Yeah, and I think that Ghost in the Wires had like that same type of thing. You know, I actually listened to that on audiobook and I was sitting here like, ooh, what happened next? Like, you know, so it's really dope that it's like based on like, you know, real life things that happen. So like it's not like you're actually learning, but you know, you kind of are.
And Sandworm. So along those same lines, Ghost in the Wires. So, definitely.
Did you say Ghost in the Wire?
Yeah, Ghost in the Wires. I think it's Kevin Mitnick. I hope I'm not butchering that.
Okay, now I'm just writing all these titles down. I mean, I like to read, but some of these I haven't even heard about. So I definitely want to come back and review these. And if anyone has missed anything, I've listed them all in the YouTube chat if you would like to look it up after or while we're on here. I do want to add one book to the list that I found extremely helpful. As I was going through my professional career, there were a couple times where I asked for a raise and I was shot down brutally without even trying. So I read Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, who is an FBI negotiator. So he shares some really good real life experiences, some really great advice. So those of you who need to navigate or have really hard conversations, I highly suggest listening to or reading, unless you do Audible or not, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. All right, so now that we've covered that, thank you, ladies. Those were some really great suggestions. I am going to switch gears a little bit. I know we have a veteran here on our panel. Thank you very much, Ms. Shaniqua. So I'm going to ask you, what do you do to pivot or transition to the private sector, and how has it been for you?
So my path wasn't traditional. And I think it's why I'm so passionate about bringing other people in behind me. I was in the military as an intel analyst, a National Guardsman and a reservist. And I took those same skills with no IT, no cyber background, and just kind of hustled and learned my way to where I am now. I didn't get my degree until 10 years in the field. So everything that I did was self-taught. I read books, lots of mentors. I am such a huge advocate of mentors. I've had people of all colors, races, be my mentors. And I think it really catapulted me to not only humble myself and know where I've come from, but also know that it requires knowledge and skills and honing your skills to get better. So I tell all veterans, you can still read while you're in. You can read whatever MOS you're in. You can study. There's Google, there's YouTube. So that's kind of how I transition from military to civilian, just learning and hustling my way to the top.
So on the topic of veterans, I just want to say that I saw this opportunity for veterans who have like a top secret clearance where you can go and do 18 weeks of boot camp, and then I think it was Microsoft gives you a job at the end of that 18 weeks. They guarantee you, you know, if you complete the boot camp, that you can get a job with them if you're a veteran. So we actually dropped information about that in the Black Girls Hack Slack, but I've seen it other places online as well. So definitely check that out if you're a veteran. I'm looking to transition, you know, into like, for example, secure coding or DevOps or something like that.
Also, hype up Shaniqua. Thank you for your service, and you sound awesome. Let's be friends.
Yes. So short plug. Chloe is one of my closest friends. They call me a cult leader. So add me on LinkedIn. You know, I love talking to people. I'm passionate about helping people. So yeah. Sorry, Chloe.
I will take you up on that because I'm the opposite. You're a veteran. I'm a private, a baby. So I will look to you for guidance.
And what is your Twitter handle?
I don't have Twitter. I'm still in the dark ages of IG and Facebook, but you can add me on LinkedIn. I'm on there more than Facebook. So
okay.
Yeah, I think I already added you and Chloe. I'll add all the other amazing Black women once we're done.
We're in the Washington DC. So feel free to reach out. COVID's almost over. So.
I'm glad you said IG. I was going to seriously judge you if you said like MySpace or Zynga or something.
Ooh, hopefully not that.
Yo, she's got a Black Planet.
Yes. And also for veterans, Splunk offers Fundamentals 1 and 2 for free if you want to learn Splunk and understand how it works. I don't want to do my sales pitch here, but Splunk is an amazing tool. It's used in almost every cybersecurity space. So Fundamentals 1 and 2 is free.
Yeah, so that's a big blue team thing. So if you're interested in blue team and you're not quite sure what blue team is yet, you know, you need some of that in your life. So find her on LinkedIn or MySpace.
Okay, so that was really good. Based on what you explained to us, Shaniqua, I know we didn't ask this question and you might not be prepared. So let me know that's okay. But how did you go about finding mentors? I know you said that they were all different colors and creeds, but how did you identify and how did you approach and get them as a mentor?
My personality is very, if I want something, I go for it. I have two powerful, I'm not gonna put them on YouTube, but I have two amazing mentors now. And I basically reached out to them and said, I wanna have your job. Can you show me how to do it? And some people are like, what do you mean? And some people are like, of course, you know, I wanna retire one day. So it's just getting out of your shell. My professional life is completely different from my personal life. I'm an introvert. I don't like talking to new people. But professionally, I know exactly where I want to go. I know how I want to get there. I just need to know certain steps and tools to get there. So if I see somebody awesome, which I would hope somebody would do to me, but if I see somebody awesome, I'm like, hey, I want to learn what you do. Show me the ropes. And I think that's the best mindset to have, especially in cyber, because you never know who may help you through that next door, offer you a book to read, you know, some kind of piece of advice, a connection, a network. So just step outside of yourself for your career. It's worth it.
Yeah, I want to co-sign that. You know, one of my mentors is absolutely dope. She actually just recently came into my life, and she is like an older white woman, which is not something that I would, you know, normally, you know, seek out as far as, you know, someone to, you know, kind of learn and grow from. But she's absolutely dope. She dropped into my DMs and was like, you know, hey, I want to, you know, help, you know, the Black Girls Hack Squad to, you know, be able to learn about these things. And, you know, when I started talking to her, like literally the first time I talked to her, she made me cry. She was just like super like real and like amazing. And like she had, you know, so much insight. So I appreciated like her experience and just her, you know, realness, you know, because I feel like you need to be comfortable with your mentor to just be able to say like, you know, all of my managers are men and they suck. And then not, you know, have your mentor just feel judged or defensive or whatever it is. So I definitely think the mentor is super important to anyone, no matter what level that you're at, because, you know, and I would recommend having multiple mentors, you know, from different walks of life, because there are so many things that people can teach you that you may not even know that you need to learn. So, you know, I definitely co-sign what Shaniqua was saying is about, you know, getting your mentors, getting lots of mentors, and then trying to make a difference in like the next generation of people.
I want to add too, I'm a piggybacker, but think of mentorship as a marriage. It's give and take. I tell a lot of people, come to the table. If you want someone to be your mentor, come to the table with your own homework about what you want to do, where you want to go, because sometimes people don't know where to pull from. My mentors know exactly what my 5-year plan is. They know how I plan to get there. They know the steps that I'm taking. I make a lot of goals for myself, and even for my mentees. I can't help you if you can't help yourself, you know, at least meet me halfway. But just think of it as a marriage. You're committed to that person, whether they tell you something that you don't like or not. Just, you know, roll with it and trust the process.
This might not be the best way to build on the marriage metaphor, but I guess you also have to be open to being a sister wife, because a lot of mentors have multiple mentees. And so sometimes I think it's good, at least I've benefited from being able to share with someone who's in the exact same space that I am, and we're still trying to glean from whoever it is that we're reaching out to. But then it also puts me in the right mind space that I'm not commanding of all of their time. I know that if I don't get a response back right away, they have other things that are going on. That's the other benefit of having multiple mentors. One, because there's multiple things that I'm trying to do. There are multiple spaces that I'm trying to break out in. So it's been beneficial to have that understanding of they're humans too. And then also casting that net far and wide.
I like to co-sign on what all these lovely ladies said about mentorship. One of the aspects I want to point out too about mentorship is that you can have mentorship for personal and career development, and it should be encompassed from different areas in your life. And with mentorship, one of the key aspects I tell anyone when you're mentoring or being mentored is that you have to set expectations of the relationship ahead of time. And if you're a mentor, then set expectation with the mentee and just developing your relationship and understand what it is that you're seeking. And that goes for both mentors and mentees. So if you don't set expectations ahead of time, then that it actually can ruin that type of relationship. So that's what I advise anyone in a mentor-mentee relationship. Make sure that you vibe well with individuals. And it's okay to change mentors if you don't vibe as well, because sometimes things do not work out. But at least set expectations ahead of time and know what your goals are and what are your goals that you want to get out of the relationship between you and your mentee.
I'm like that church mother when someone says something, they're like, well, come back to holiness. So I wanted to mention what you said, if you don't vibe well, I want to put that in context, I guess, for some people, because it's not the person told you something you don't want to hear, and then you're like, forget it, I'm done with you. It's if you have an ongoing relationship that works, then you continue to do that. But if it is not a give and take, that marriage is failing, then yes, exit. But make sure that it's a qualified thing and not just, I don't like you today, so you can't be my mentor anymore.
It has to be a maturity level, and as far as it has to be amicable, and that's what I mean. As far as when you don't vibe well, it should just be amicable and a mature level. As far as saying, hey, I think this isn't going to work out, and you can just part ways amicably, and that's okay. I mean, that's just like with any relationship that you have in life, you can do that as well.
So Rebecca, has anybody told you have a radio voice? I could just listen to you all day, girl.
Thank you. Thank you.
So something else, I actually just recently got with a mentor who's an older man. So just from a sex perspective, generally I have had women mentors, but just like we're all saying, you learn from everybody, right? And he is an older gentleman who's been in the cyberspace, audit space for a long time. And it was almost like at this point, it doesn't start off like, let's talk about IT or let's talk about cyber. It was just very organic about life. And we had that connection, as Tanisha had said. So just saying that, we, from a mentorship perspective, I know we're kind of off topic here, but this is great. It could be anybody. And right now I'm getting some benefits from an older gentleman who can teach me a lot of things about corporate America through his eyes.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, I used to have a mentor that was an older gentleman, and he was in the position that I wanted to be in, right? But like every time we were supposed to meet once a month, and every time that we would get ready to meet, like I would get knots in my stomach and I would feel sick, and like I really felt like nervous about it, like not even like it was a job interview, but it was just like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I want to say. It really just didn't make me feel comfortable. But I say all that to say that I think it's important that you have a certain level of comfort with your mentor, that you can actually talk to them, because if you can't, be free to express what it is that you're looking for, what it is that you're trying to do, what your real issues are in your work environment. Like if you can't, for example, talk about, race or gender, or whatever it is that's affecting your career. And, some of those are real issues that could affect your career. You should just be able to talk to that person about those. So it's important that you, like Jessica was saying, be able to learn from anyone that you grow. But at the same time, like you need to make sure that you have someone that you can almost, to use the marriage metaphor, to be vulnerable with, so that you can, say how you really feel and get honest feedback, and not feel like, oh my gosh, I'm about to go into like a job interview every day. Like it shouldn't be, work. It should be like, hey, I'm eager to find out, what this person has to say about my career and to give feedback. And it should be like a give and take, like Beck was saying.
I felt compelled to beatbox in the downtime.
Okay, thank you, ladies. Oh, there it is. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You guys are so silly.
Okay, here we go. This question is for everybody. What are some skills you feel are critical for a security career? Jasmine, do you mind starting with that one?
Yeah, so what I always tell people is always keep learning. Like that's the one constant thing in this field is you're going to keep learning. You don't know everything, and you gotta always upgrade your skills, always learning and things of that nature. So that's one of the main things I tell people. It's like, if I have a thirst and knowledge of learning. So for me, it's like I want to do all the things. But it's just like if you're like, I don't know about that. You can find other areas of security to do, but that's the constant in my 10 years. It's like I'm always learning something new every day.
So I would say that one of the skills I think is most important is to have networking skills. So like I managed to have, at this point, like a 15-year long IT, cybersecurity career, and never took the time to learn networking. And I think that's one of the fundamental things that's important to cybersecurity. But like I see so many times in new things that I'm learning where, networking is coming up like, hey, I wish I would have learned this. Hey, I wish, I knew this better and I understood this better. And there are so many paths to get into cybersecurity and in tech in general. But I think that, if they're computer based, that you should just at least have an understanding of networking. I'm not saying you have to go out and get like a networking certification, but just have, the basics down so that you have, good foundations to be able to understand as, you layer up additional information that's based on that. So that's just my 2 cents.
I was thinking
I'm sorry. Did you go first, Miss Shanika? You want to go first, girlfriend? You go.
So I originally thought you were talking about the networking that I was thinking about. That's why I gave you So I'm a huge advocate, as you can tell, of networking. Almost every job I've had friends that I've met along the way, people that have helped me to this day, people that still ask, to look at their resume, whatever. I think, like I said, stepping outside and just meeting people, you never know, who may become your best friends or your mentors or mentee, but definitely network. I think cybersecurity is so diverse now. There's so many there's auditing, risk, data centers, SOC, everything. So just network and figure out what your thing is.
Yeah, I was actually talking about like the subnets and the that networking, but I agree, both of those are absolutely like completely vital to cybersecurity. They're necessary.
I was so confused. I was like, which networking? But that's too funny.
I would also say,
okay, we're all going at the same time.
I'll wait.
Okay. All right. Well, I would say, besides having the technical skills, that equally what I tell anyone is important to have soft skills as well, soft skills and humility, because in this cybersecurity realm, we get a lot of people who they may have the technical aptitude, but they don't have the soft skills and they don't have humility. So I tell anyone that's vital in this area, is to have the soft skills and definitely have humility, because no one is a know-it-all. I mean, no matter how many years of experience and expertise that you have in this field, I mean, you're going to always be continuing to learn and develop and everything. So always be humble, always be kind, and always have those soft skills as well.
I think to also touch on what Tanisha just said, and being able to, start slow, have that skill, have that in your mind, that it's not like a day one thing where you just jump in and you're just up there, you're doing amazing things. You should be willing to start really slow. You should be somebody who really likes to read a lot, because this space is growing so fast. There are new technologies that are coming up, new things that you'd have to learn. So you should be willing to, start slow, read a lot, and you have to be willing to explore different opportunities in cybersecurity. It doesn't have to be just one, box. If you try something and it's not working out, there are tons of areas in this field. Be somebody who is willing to learn and explore these opportunities. And also, just to touch on the networking, be ready to have role models. Sometimes you should have an icon, somebody you're looking up to. If you have that role model icon, then you'll be in a better position to be able to look for that mentor who can help you get there, or that mentor who can help you attain that goal that you have. So it's not just about, I want to do cybersecurity, I want to go in there, but rather trying to piece all your puzzles together, making sure you're dotting your T's, you're crossing your I's. That way, when you start, then it's a gradual process. But ultimately, with everything we are saying here, it's going to get you to that point that you want to go. So I think that is also some of the skills that you can have as somebody who would want to enter cyber.
I definitely agree. Ooh, I'm sorry. I definitely agree. I think that is very important to also pay attention to detail and be able to communicate. I think for the most part, a lot of people who get into cybersecurity just kind of think computers and hacking, but there's so much more to it. We have to be able to explain what it is that we found, or whatever we're doing, to another person who may not be as technical as we are. And this was touched on already. I would definitely say stay up to date with the technology, stay up to date with the news in every field that involves technology. So it can be in the healthcare industry, government sector, or even private sector, even entertainment industry. Just make sure you stay up to date with all the new technologies, because with new technologies come more vulnerabilities and malware and cybersecurity issues that we're not aware of.
Yeah, and just sorry. I was just going to say, just to piggyback off what Fatu and Francisco were saying, you don't have to just do one thing in cybersecurity. Like, it's completely okay to be at the intersection of, a lot of different things. One of my favorite people on Clubhouse, Amber Ivy, she always says that she's at the intersection of 4 or 5 things, right? That are, different areas within cybersecurity. You don't have to just be, GRC, or you don't have to just be threat hunting. You can have a lot of different interests and things that you are interested in. You don't have to just define yourself in a binary manner, like I'm a red team person, or I'm a blue team person, or I'm whatever. You can have a lot of different interests and do research in different areas if that's so meets your interest and what you like.
And I think what I was going to say too kind of goes along with that, right? Be a chameleon, be able to adapt to your different settings. Because like all of us have said, right, there's so many different aspects of the security field. So I think along with that too is just be able to work in ambiguous spaces. I'm still working on that personally. I'm a very black and white person, but there's a lot of gray in this field. So that's helpful.
And that's one of the best things about being an auditor. I know nobody says that phrase there, but I get to do a lot of different things. I work with network teams, I work with SOC analysts and Splunk folks, people who are writing policies, HR departments. So security is definitely not just technical, right? There's physical security, logical security, managerial security, et cetera. But as far as critical skills, everything you guys said, perfect. The one thing specifically I tell my teams is don't be afraid to ask questions. Because if you go ahead and you think you know what you're doing and you write it up, and then I'm like, what is this? And then I got to go ask the client for more time because you didn't do it right, there's going to be a problem. So, there are no stupid questions. And that's what they said in grade school, right? But it's true. So it goes back to what, ladies, we were talking about before we started this, is a confidence thing. So no, we don't know everything, but you got to have confidence in yourself that if you want to do your research, absolutely, that's very imperative as well. But don't be afraid to ask questions, because that will it'll just avoid so many different problems, especially in my position dealing with being client facing, professional services, providing a service to a client for X amount of money for X amount of time. So don't be afraid to ask questions. And if somebody makes you feel like it's a dumb question, well, then maybe it's a matter of who you're working with too. You know what I mean? So there are no dumb questions. That's all I'm saying. And don't be afraid to ask them. That's the thing I tell my team all the time. I don't care what your experience level is.
And I think just a quick one to add on to what Jessica is saying. The truth of the matter is, being a female and being in this space, the challenges are going to come. You will be challenged. You will be pushed to that point where you feel you're not good enough. You feel you're not getting there. You're not meeting that standard. But that is where you don't have to give up. That is where you don't have to settle. That is where you don't have to give up as a woman or as a Black woman in cyber. That is where you have to be fearless, bold, and go for what you came in for, or work towards getting up there. So.
Yeah, not just because that's what I was going to say, is you have to be your biggest cheerleader. Just piggybacking off Francesca, because most times you might be the only woman, the only Black woman. I know I've been in the field for over 10 years. I think at my last job was the first where I had a Black counterpart. And so so you have to be your own cheerleader. You're not going to see people like you. You know, you might have some people who try to challenge you, as long as it's respectful. You know, just give your opinion, but you have to be your biggest cheerleader.
And I think to add to that, I think that as Black women, and maybe it's just in women in general, that, you know, imposter syndrome is real. You know, it's very easy to, you know, think that you don't deserve to be in the space, or that you don't, you know, you are not qualified enough, or whatever the case may be. But, you know, part of, you know, being your biggest cheerleader, I think, is also having confidence in what it is that you know, and just being realistic about what it is that you don't know, and using that as an opportunity to grow. Because I think that, you know, so often we'll be like, you know, I'm not supposed to be here. You know, I've had some of my, you know, friends and counterparts this week, you know, check me like, hey, you deserve to be doing this. You know, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So, you know, like, even if you don't always have the confidence, you should still, you know, walk with the authority and the confidence that you deserve to be here, and you're supposed to be here.
And as someone who's had a very circuitous, that's my favorite word this month, path to get into cyber, it's easy to hear, oh, homegirl got a doctorate, she's getting her PhD, you've been here for 15 years. And while I might not have the same level of experience in cyber specifically, I have plenty of experience in other things. And that can be leveraged to make you a better professional in anything that you're doing. So there's value in that. My 3-word wrap up kind of for the things that we've been talking about is, 1, be adaptable, be teachable. And then if you're adaptable and teachable, then you'll be unflappable. And in a moment of crisis, you're less likely to be frenzied. You're less likely to, you know, lose your mind. And that is so important, because there's so much value in someone who can stand in the storm and be calm. End users freaking out because they've done something that they shouldn't have done. They click something they shouldn't have clicked, and you can just breathe and, you know, de-stress the situation, de-escalate. And so that's a value and a skill that I don't know if someone would necessarily put down on a job description. Hey, can you be calm? Because that, you know, it's very important and useful.
And I would like to piggyback on that and to say that that encompasses everything we're talking about, as far as I'm mentioning, like having those soft skills, is that is equally, if not most important, and being in cybersecurity is having those soft skills. And because you're going to have challenges, but the one thing I tell anyone is that don't be afraid to, if you're going to make mistakes, because one of my best quotes I say is fail forward. That failure is not failing. Failing is an opportunity to learn and develop and to grow for yourself and become successful. When anyone becomes successful in life, they don't not become successful without failure. So I tell anyone that is to always stay focused and always stay encouraged. And that failure that is not failure, it's just an opportunity to learn and develop in your life.
Very well said, Tanisha. That was, you took the words right out of my mouth. After we talked about not being afraid to ask questions, it's not being afraid to fail, because it's going to happen. But it's what you do with that failure that really matters. Jokingly, I'll tell a very short story and get back to the panel, but as a database administrator, I deleted a whole environment very early in my career, and I had to go to my coworker and tell her that, you know, jokingly, I was like, oh, so do these windows open? I'm gonna just go ahead and throw myself out. And luckily I had a woman as a coworker, as another DBA. And she said, no, it's okay. We have some virtual snapshots. We can recover. And she gave me the responsibility of doing it all over again, right? Which meant a lot to me. That meant that she trusted me despite the mistake. You can go back and you can do it over again. And it happens. Other things will happen again. So thank you very much. Okay, moving forward. We've been talking about a lot of personal questions about professional growth, personal growth. But the question I want to ask is, what organizations should BIPOC individuals be involved in that you believe is vital to their growth personally and professionally? All right, we're staying in that same pocket, but what organizations do you think are important for other individuals like ourselves to be involved with?
BIC is one of them, and Black Girls Hack is another one. Blacks in Technology is another one. There's a lot of different ones, but I would say those are the top three that I would recommend for any Black and person of color to actually join. Those are the top three of my top three picks. I may just be biased, but I'll just call it like it is. These are the best three organizations that I believe, in my opinion, offer varied resources, and not only that, have the best programs for Blacks and people of color to excel and to have growth and career development. So, and not only that, just by interacting with all the different organizations, I will say that all these organizations are very welcoming and are actually well run with their leadership.
Yeah, I would just say, that you should just join all the organizations, especially like if it doesn't come at a large financial cost to you. And the reason being is that, I think there's a lot of different organizations that are operating in the space of, either Black people in tech or just in cybersecurity specifically, but they all, I feel like offer a lot of different services, a lot of different opportunities. One of the first organizations I joined was Black in Cyber. So, I'm a member, and as well as, Black Girls Hack. But, I've joined a lot of different organizations. I'm also a member of, for example, Women in Cybersecurity and Women Cyber Jitsu. Women Cyber Jitsu is actually one of my, I'd say, go-to ones, just as far as, just the hands-on training and just the different people that you interact with. I appreciate especially seeing women in cybersecurity, just because, I think that they can understand and they can just tell the stories of how they got there, and, the challenges that they face just being, I'd say a minority in the industry, despite the fact that we're probably a majority, on Earth. So I would just say, join all the organizations and take part of what they can, and just be a big part of those, because, like Shaniqua was saying, networking is important, and those, different organizations give you the opportunity to network with a lot of different people that, may be your next manager or the next person to refer you to your next job, or, whatever the case may be, or your next mentor. So join them all.
I also think it's, excuse me, I had to clear out that radio voice, to not box yourself in, because society will do that enough for us. Definitely Black Girls Hack, Black in Cybersecurity are fantastic. I follow, I stand. But then also where your interests lie, join those groups as well, because you never know where your next thing may take you. So cast it far and wide. I don't have an MBA, but I'm part of the National Black MBA Association, because one, I probably shouldn't do this because we're all women and we're talking about empowering and stuff. I joined because of a guy. It's neither here nor there, but I'm still there and he's not. So anyway.
I just also wanted to touch on the fact that sometimes it might not necessarily be, let's say, Blacks in Cyber or Black Girl Hack, which would ideally be my top two. But I joined WISA's, Women in Cybersecurity, and it was there before BIC came up. But then I remember that the first time I went for WISA's conference, we had some Black women in cybersecurity who were there, who initiated a meetup. And so that was the first time I got into that space where I could see women who were Black like myself in the space. I could interact with them. And through that, I ended up, landing multiple network people and mentors and role models. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, let's say, Black in Cyber or Black Girls Hack. If you happen to get to a place or a seminar or a webinar or even a conference, try to look for those kind of gatherings. Try to watch out for gatherings like Black women in cyber are meeting, Black women in cybersecurity, Black women in privacy, Black women in, it could be Black women who are blue team members or Black women who are red team members. Look for those opportunities and try to get connected with such teams as well.
also want to recommend people check locally too, because I mean, there are a lot of national organizations that they don't have offices and everything or meetups within the area, but I would also check locally first, because it may not be, those are the three that I named because they are good organizations, but it may be a smaller group, just a special interest group. Just like you may find something like, okay, blue team group that's locally. So I would also recommend any special interest group to where you have a special interest to join those as well. And a lot of those are locally, and you won't find in a nationwide setting like we do with major groups.
Yeah, I was going to piggyback and say, like, the meetups is definitely important, because one of the groups I'm in, OWASP, which is the Open Web Application Security Project, they have, they're national, but they have meetups and they have chapters. So it was definitely definitely go to meetups and things of that nature, because you'll meet, a lot of different people at these meetings. So definitely check out your local homegrown stuff.
I gotta say, with BWIC, I just stumbled into BWIC. Like, I'm like a newbie. I'm like 30 days old right now, and and I'm already working in the mentorship program committee. You know what I mean? Like, it's just been dope. And from there, honestly, I just stumbled across National Association of Black Compliance and Risk Management, which is up my alley, right, as being an auditor. And there was another one, I couldn't find it again, but I think it's ICMP, International Consortium of Minority Professionals.
ICMCP.
Okay. Yeah. So I want to learn more about both of those, but I agree with the meetups. We have a local, it's called PA Hackers in Central PA, and they do all sorts of stuff in the local university here, Harrisburg University, but also just with Clubhouse. I'm not on the bandwagon yet, but there's so much we could do virtually right nowadays for those special interest groups. And as far as the cybersecurity maturity model certification, that's a big thing going on if you're in that space. So like having those, that's where that networking comes in, right? So your network of whatever it is that you're focusing on or interested in, it doesn't even have to be some formal group, right? It can just be part of that mentorship, that leadership, those conversations that you have. But I just gotta say, all my years in security, like the way that I've been embraced with BWIC has been awesome. And like being with you ladies, like I've never seen this before. So, I mean, it's just amazing. So I always am surprised. So, like you said, cast your net far and wide, because you never know what you're gonna catch, for sure.
Yeah, I absolutely love the network, just being able to, to find like-minded people. I think it's important that you find your tribe. But, I think one of the greatest benefits for me just being a part of so many different organizations is, just finding people to hack with, that I can just say, hey, let's hop on and let's, do some hack the boxes, or let's do some, whatever it is that we're working on. Just finding, people who, look like me. I think it's absolutely, and are interested in the same type of things. When I talk to my non-cyber friends, we kind of talk in terms of widgets, because, we all do different things. And, it's not necessarily that they'll understand what it is that I'm talking about, but when you find your tribe, the people that you can like talk to who are interested in the same things that you're interested in, it's just so easy in terms of like explaining the difficulties that you're running into, and just finding different ways. Having for example, a cyber bestie is absolutely amazing for me. Shout out to my cyber bestie. But because it's important that you have other people that you can actually just do things with, that are cyber related, somebody to go with. So I definitely appreciate the networking and the love that I've experienced just all throughout, the cyber realm.
I want to plug two more organizations: National Society of Black Engineers, NSBE. I'm a huge advocate of them. We work with them a lot with my job. It's a great way to bring in younger people who are trying to get into cyber. And also Women in Technology. They have a conference coming up this month, plug. So Women in Technology is amazing. They've helped me in numerous ways with my resume, with trying to public speak, all those things, all those soft skills that Tanisha mentioned.
All right, ladies. So just in the interest of time, as we move on to our next question, I'll go ahead and move us into our next topic. So I know we talked a bit about working with other orgs and then working with ourselves, but what are some of the barriers that you have faced during your period in cyber, and how do you think you could have mitigated them or could help prevent those for the next person?
So
I do have actually a very challenging story I like to share. Oh, did you, Tanisha Martin, you want to go?
No, go ahead, share your story.
I think mine is a little bit more, so go ahead. I'm gonna let you go first because you got it the most.
All right. So one of the biggest barriers that I see just interfacing with a lot of, people who are trying to get into cybersecurity are financial barriers. And I think that that's like a huge deal, especially for people, we're in the middle of a pandemic and people are just trying to, basically survive. So, one of the things that I see is like when you look at like certifications, like the Certified Ethical Hacker is like $1,300. The Security Plus, which is entry level certification for the industry, is like maybe $400. So when we're telling people, for example, to go out here and get degrees or go out here and get certifications, there's a cost associated with that, which is a barrier for them to be able to get in cybersecurity. So one of the things that I want to see is, some of our industry partners, some of the people who are hosting these certifications or sponsoring these certifications to kind of like give back to try to increase the diversity in cybersecurity, to try to reduce some of these financial costs. Because, if you have to pay, for example, $2,000 between the Security Plus and like an ethical hacking or OSCP, which is another $1,000, those are thousands of dollars that are preventing you from a career where you can be able to make money for your family. So I'd say for me, I want to see some of those financial barriers come down.
Yeah, just to piggyback off Tanisha, I know when I started, it was not having experience. Like I had the passion and I wanted to do it, but a lot of times, these job postings, they're going off a computer. So you put in your resume, they're looking for keywords, they're looking for the search. You don't have it, you don't even continue on. So I know what I did to mitigate that was I started my blog, Passion for Pen Testing. And so because I started it because I was frustrated because I was like, okay, I have the passion, but these people are not giving me a chance. So I'm gonna have to make them give me a chance. So I would solve computer challenges, but to also piggyback off the certs, I see a lot of prospective information security people, they see these the certs, the OSCP and all of this, and they jump and get it. And it's just like with the certs, figure out or at least have an idea of what you want to do and don't be like cert happy. I call it the alphabet soup, your name, and then you have all these certs behind you, right? So it's like, again, you have to be strategic and realize, okay, it doesn't have to be set in stone, but just have a starting point of like, hey, I want to do this, and let me see the certs. And I know for me, when I was doing my certs, my jobs, when I finally did get into security, my jobs pay for them, like SANS. Those certs are like $6,000 to $7,000. You can't afford that on your own. I'm not going to pay for it on my own. So, that's something else to think about. Like, try Hack Me, because I know there's like CompTIA has like the Pen Test Plus, and I know with Try Hack Me, which is another site that I absolutely love for hacking all of the things. They have like a cert path for the pen testing plus. Like if you complete all of their challenges, you get 10% off of the certification, and that helps to mitigate. But definitely cost. A lot of these jobs for them, some of these jobs are just like all over the place. They want the world, and it's like, okay, not really giving people a chance. And then, so those are the things. And then costs, because again, in the beginning, it is your money, and, just being strategic of, how you want to move.
I think for me, one of the biggest barriers, and I know I talk a lot about networking and people, trust me, I'm a techie. I promise I know tech. I've been in cyber a long time, but brand is something that I've consistently grown. And being authentic, it took me a long time to be comfortable. I have locks. I'm a Black woman. I people can't sometimes tell my age. So walking into a boardroom, it's a cherry pick of how people are going to treat me. But because I'm authentic, you have no choice but to listen to me and listen to my voice. I encourage everyone to build their brand, no matter what company, no matter where you are. People should know exactly what you do, what you stand for, you know, what your beliefs are from a professional standpoint. But yes, it helps to break barriers because nobody is going to, you know, look at you sideways or assume how you are. I haven't had very many people in the past 5 years, you know, do some of the red flag things that I saw in my early career, just because I stood strong for who I am. So definitely build your brand and be consistent in who you are. Be authentic. It's okay to, you know, people like realness.
That is so true. Just real quick, being on the phone, I talk to my clients usually before I meet them. So exactly, you walk in the room and I'm almost 6 foot tall. I'm pretty loud. Usually my hair's out. I like bright colors, you know what I mean? But one of my clients at a Fortune, I guess, 10 company, high up there, you know, he told me one day, he was like, you know, I like you just like this. You're authentic. And that was like the best thing ever. It wasn't you're so smart, you know so many things, you're so professional. It's that you're yourself, and I respect you for that. And you know, we're still good friends. So I think, you know, those type of things go so far. Be yourself, because people can tell phonies, right? We can tell that pretty easily. Or if you're lying about what you can and can't do, right? So be yourself. I totally agree with that, Shaniqua.
That the value of you, because, you know, multiple times people will say, there are a million people lined up that can do your job. Maybe, but they can't do it like me. So you might as well be you, because can't nobody else do it.
Oh, it's something that my friend and I, what we say is like, you have your own sauce. You know, no one can do it like you. You know, you have the sauce. So even if you have you and other people, they don't have your sauce, so they can't do what you do. So yeah.
Got that secret ingredient sauce.
Yeah, and to add on to that, I also want to say when you have personality and you're a people person and you don't have that like this thing where like people think when you're into computers, you're not really a people person. If you have actual personality for a lot of things, like people will actually go up to you and ask you for help for different things. And if you're a consultant, people will actually want to work with you on projects. So I think that is really good to have personality on top of all the technical skills and stuff. Soft skills are also important.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was just going to say that as far as the other barriers, just making sure that you're getting hands-on skills. There's a lot of things, a lot of programs out there that give you the hands-on skills. I was just asking Jasmine to tell me more about her passion for pen testing, because I think that's absolutely dope. And, you know, we do a lot of, in Black Girls Hack, a lot of hands-on like skills labs, just so you can get more experience, especially in the ethical hacking space. So, you know, if you don't have the work experience, you know, set up a home lab. Don't let that be a reason for you not to be, you know, interested in the career or not to try to pursue the career, you know, so that you could just get the experience and at least be able to talk about what you're doing in your home lab or, you know, outside of work.
That is so true. And I know I'm not technically on the panel, but I wanted to share my story because I'm a lot less technical than y'all. I'm just going to say I'm the director of public relations. So, you know, that's my T. But I, with Michaela, I actually set up and restored my iMac by myself. And then with my sister, I was able to learn a couple of things on the terminal. I'm starting to get into it, guys. So, you know, it's been a process over this last year. But I mean, I haven't had any formal training, of course, but, you know, I'm studying for my little A+. I'm out here. And you're so right about getting it on your own, like at home, right after your job. You just do what you need to do, you know, and it's been really like a beautiful thing. So this is awesome. And I totally agree.
That's amazing, Alex. I'm happy to hear that. And that goes to show you too, is that getting into cybersecurity, I found that a lot of people who are new coming into the field, one of the biggest barriers, a lot of them is not having the confidence, and just because you come from a non-technical background does not mean that you can't progress and be technical if you have the focus and the dedication and to do something hands-on. And Alex's story is a prime example of transition and going from something that's non-technical to progress into technical.
I just wanted to also highlight that we shouldn't forget the importance of internship. So for students or for young girls or for people listening to us who are in school, one of the things that me personally helped me in this space is being able to land an internship, because there I was able to actually practicalize what I had learned in theory and be able to, let's say, conduct a risk assessment, be able to shadow my supervisor who was conducting an IT audit. I was able to supervise some of my team members who were doing pen testing and trying to complete these risk assessments and IT audits for some clients. So being able to land that internship sometimes does a difference or changes the whole ball game as well.
And to add on, internships will also give you the experience on different aspects of cyber. So maybe you might be exposed to a new position that you were not aware of, or you may realize that maybe I don't like this position that I'm going for, and it will help you narrow down the amount of certs that you need to get in the trainings that you actually have to get.
I would also just say to share your story, like I watched when, as Alex was doing her progression over LinkedIn, with her computer. I forgot what she named it, but she had named it. But I would say share your story because, it's inspirational to other people, to see, what it is that you're doing, and it'll inspire them to be able to try to get involved in things that they wouldn't, necessarily. So, share your story. There are other people who can learn from you, who may, look like you, who come from the same background as you, who will be inspired by you. So, I think as you make your way along in the industry, make sure that you reach back and, try to pull other people up with you.
To add on that, oh, sorry, Jasmine, go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. And I was going to say, if you solve a challenge, even if it's been explained before, still put your spin on it, right? Because I know when I started, and that was another reason why I created my blog, was because I realized like a lot of the technical blogs I really couldn't connect with and things of that nature. So my blog is like bare bones. I write it. So you might not understand everything, but you can go from A to Z, and it's like, okay, a logical process. Like, oh, okay, I understand how we got here. I might not understand everything, but I can follow, right? So, because I know a lot of times people will look at something and they'll be like, I have another way that I could solve this, but this has been solved 11 times. Okay, but again, your voice, your sauce, no one has that. So still do the write-up anyway, because as Tanisha said, someone behind you might be reading it and it's like, oh, the aha moment might come when they read your blog posts or look at your YouTube or whatever. And it's like, oh, it finally clicks and I understand. So, again, just because a problem is solved, you bring your own unique talents, perspective, everything. So we want to hear your voice. We need to hear your voice. So yeah, that's something definitely, I notice a lot of new people, they're just like, oh, I see these people and they've been here. Okay, that's fine. But again, you have a fresh pair of eyes, you bring a new perspective. Just because something I hate is like, when something is done and it's like, why you do it this way? Oh, it's always been done that way. Don't say that around me. So it's like, just because it's done that way doesn't mean it's the correct way. We can always improve on things.
A quick plug to volunteering. Volunteer for everything, and then you don't have to pay for anything. If you volunteer for conferences, you don't have to pay for them, and you get to network. That's literally how I got here today. I volunteered at the big conference, so it does work.
That's the cheat code, and no one knows
brand that is
for all these huge conferences. I used to wish and dream and be like, how can I do this? They will let you do breakout rooms. They'll let you talk, and you can access all the same features. So that's the cheat code.
Oh yeah, people, there's not enough volunteers. So if they're like, oh, you do this, and we can, oh, okay, yeah, we need bodies. So it's like, okay, yeah, we'll give you the training. You can come. We just need you. Yeah, that is definitely the cheat code. If you can do that, if you can volunteer your time. And also it goes back to the networking, right? You're in the space where people are. So then you can start kind of looking and navigating and formulating your plan. Another thing is, networking, you got to talk to people. And I mean, that might sound easy, but I'm an introvert and I'm slightly antisocial. So it's like, for a while, it was like I stayed in my own little bubble, but then I realized at some, you're going to have to talk to people, because it's like at a certain point in your career, those relationships matter. right? Kind of like where you want to move to, because yeah, those relationships matter. And even, I know we didn't talk about this, but if you have a social media presence, whether that's Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, I know a lot of times people might look and it's like, dang, I don't have a lot of followers. I don't know if people are listening to me, I might stop. Don't do that. People are listening to you, because I don't have like a lot of followers or anything like that, but it's like people still reach out to me and it's like, hey, I saw this, can you, do this conference or things like that. So it's like, again, build a social media presence wherever you want to, between the different platforms, and then be consistent. That's something that I had to learn, because it's like, and again, life gets in the way, but, kind of like setting up a cadence, whether that's like a couple times a week or once a week or whatever, just try to stay consistent if you can, that helps a lot. So.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys so much for your answers to that question. I just have one more for you guys. We'll be moving into our topic of corporations. So our next question, just to close us out, will be, how do you guys think, and of course not speaking on behalf of anyone's employer, but how do you think corporations or organizations can hire more Black people in general for cyber roles?
I believe that they need to reach out and actually reach out to these underrepresented organizations, such as Blacks in Technology or BWIC, or any organization that represents people of color. Well, Black people in particular is what we're actually referring to. That I believe that's one of the first steps. And even though that you have Black employees within a corporation, you can actually ask them as well. But a lot of times companies don't want to do that, because you don't want to make your employees feel like an obligation to be networking, to bring other people in. But I think reaching out, and I think another thing that they could do is, besides reaching out to special interest organizations that are for Blacks and people of color, is I believe that HBCUs is one. HBCUs is a good area to reach out and to hire more of the underrepresented groups. But organizations in the HBCUs are good forms. And another thing that they can do is offer internships to schools, like even to schools that are in communities that are underrepresented. Offer some of those internships as well for those special interest groups.
And so I was also going to say, just try to use non-traditional routes for advertising. So a lot of times jobs will post their things on the same, Glassdoor or Indeed, and then, be surprised that they're getting the same candidates, and they're not getting more diversity. There are other organizations like Minorities in Cyber that have job boards, like Women in Cybersecurity that have job boards that you could be posting on, especially if you want to see more, Black people, if you want to see more minorities or women on, applying to the jobs. And you should want to see that. You can try to use some non-traditional means to advertise. There are, probably thousands just represented by the organizations in this room of people who are qualified cybersecurity practitioners who are looking for jobs. So, try to reach out to those organizations like Tanisha Turner said, and use those organizations to try to, feed your next job requisitions. Okay, it doesn't have to be the same old, places that are getting you the same results.
I would also say another thing is with these corporations is, you need in the HR departments and things of that nature, you need to have people, a diverse set of people working there, right? Because it's kind of like you have a narrow view and that's all you want to see. Also, something else that needs to change, I know a lot of times, and I don't know why this is, but like community college is kind of like shunned. And I know when I started, like after high school, I went to community college before, graduating and moving on to my master's. But it's just like, they're, having trade programs or, meeting people where they are. Like, again, when I started, it was just kind of like you had to have the 4-year degree. It was just like no questions asked. You needed that. But we're in a new landscape, and it's like that's not the case. It's like as long as you can do the job, you know, that really isn't needed. So again, you have to think outside of the box, and then, but you need to have like a diverse set of people in HR. You need people who knows information security, and it's not just throwing things to stick in job postings, right? You need to meet with people and it's like have a clear or at least a good foundation of what you're looking for. Because some of these jobs, I'm like, how they marry them, I'm like, this makes no sense. And I was like, I know they haven't spoke to like an information security person at all.
I think in my corporation, I have learned to be disruptive. I put the onus on myself for bringing more Black people into tech. I think sometimes people don't know what skill sets they need. They're scared about their background. So every job that I've been to, I've either been a part of recruiting, the employee resource group, and been a part of recruiting. I want to be on hiring panels. I want to help write job recs. I want to be that person that has that voice. I mean, I can't put it on the people that are applying. I put it on us that are already in to reach out, each one reach one. But also I am a huge advocate of non-traditional, the same 3 HBCUs, no disrespect to anyone that graduated from them, but I attended Virginia Union. So I am very biased towards smaller HBCUs and helping them to get the cyber, even though it's not a cyber school, get the cyber word out. So it's up to us ultimately to say, this is what we have to do to be disruptive within our own current companies to make sure that we knock down doors to be that voice where there isn't one.
I think there also needs to kind of be a paradigm shift in mentality of the people hiring. Oftentimes people add the qualifier of, we need to hire more diverse candidates. Yes, but we want qualified people. Who's saying that we're not qualified? First check that, calm down. There are plenty of people who are doing the work, who are, definitely capable. So once that shift happens, you'll hire people the exact same way that you hire others. Put the effort forth, But that's the biggest thing that I've noticed where I'm just like, no one is saying you should just hire any Joe Schmo off the street. But even then, sometimes it's those soft skills and they are teachable. And that Joe Schmo might end up being the best person for the job. But, check that.
And watch for companies that just hire diversity and not actually elevate diversity. I mean, that was
that part.
I love the bag. I think it's important, but I chose the company that I'm at now because I see management and leadership and CTOs and CFOs and people that look like me in higher up positions, because any company can meet the quota of having a couple of entry-level people that are diverse. But do your homework and know, what exactly that you're looking for in a company and not just chase a paycheck, which is good. I'm not knocking because, everybody has to eat, but long term, I plan to be at companies for, the long run. So making sure my boss is a Black woman, her boss is a white woman. I know that there is room for me to grow. So why not, make that change?
And you have to break that cycle too, because so they'll hire, that's a general thing. Someone will hire someone and they're like, well, we tried. You didn't really make sure that it was the person who was the right fit. You didn't make sure that while they were there, it was a place that they wanted to stay. And then they have the excuse of, well, we tried that one time and it didn't work the way it was, but it was set up to fail.
This is always an interesting conversation. And one plug I think as well is it's a regional situation. So I worked in Baltimore for 10 years. Yeah, I live in Harrisburg, but most of my clients, most of my business is in the DMV area. When I worked in Baltimore, it was Black folks were running things. They might not have been running at the administrator level or a component level, but they were doing some director level and they had, some say in some things. So I think we're a little spoiled. Same thing. My partner, we're a minority-owned business, and I'm fortunate to have 2 Black ladies on my team, and my partner's Black. So we're, that's how we roll, and it just happened that way. But I think I really think it's a regional thing, and we might take it for granted. I certainly did, and talking to people and doing more traveling across the country, especially down south. Whew, we are so lucky for just be in this area, for real. The opportunities that are afforded to us could be better, absolutely. And that is a lot of issues and a lot of things that we can do and have been doing personally and as collectively. But I think it's a regional thing, really. I truly think that's a big factor.
I co-sign on that because of where the area to where I live. I mean, I'm considered what they called, and I hate this term, but a unicorn, because there's no Blacks in security, and then there's no Blacks women in cybersecurity that I had seen since I've been in this area. And I'm part of the East Tennessee area, so I can co-sign on that. When it depends on the region, and so when you're in regions where there's more diversity, such as DMV area, I will say that you will be provided with more opportunities and of having people that look like you, and whereas as if you're in an area to where there's not a lot of diversity. So that's one thing that I wanted to point out. But even if you are in an area that doesn't have a lot of diversity, I encourage anybody who's watching this video, is that don't let that be a hindrance to you, because even if you don't see people that look like you within your area, there are people that look like you online, and we're a representation of people who look like you.
Amen, sister.
Beautiful. But yes, all right. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this panel. It has been a pleasure to hear your thoughts and everybody's feedback and just this awesome conversation. I know we are a little bit over time, but I wanted to say, before we close out, we have our Pi Day giveaway. We're giving away a Raspberry Pi on Pi Day, so everybody look out for that. Definitely see that on our LinkedIn, our Facebook, our Twitter, and everything else. So I'm going to go ahead and hand the mic off to Michaela or Alana, and we'll go ahead and close out.
I guess that's my cue. I will reiterate what she said. Thank you, ladies. I am honored and blessed to be able to host this amazing panel with you all. Thank you for volunteering your time, your thoughts, your experience. We're looking forward to working with you in the future. Those of you who are logged in, networking, these women have offered you their names. They're saying to reach out, take advantage of the opportunity. I know I have. Please enjoy your weekends. Reach out to Blacks in Cybersecurity and all the other wonderful organizations that have offered their time. Thank you. And we will have another panel